I'm still working on it.
Yeah, we all need to follow you.
What about you, Stephanie?
I had a big birthday this year.
Very outspoken, very passionate about the things.
Why do we need this again?
I'm trying to understand. It makes no sense to me. But I'm not a Brit, so I can't.
Hey guys, it's your girl Basia. Welcome to Ask Basia video podcast. You know what time it is? It's Tuesday, so you know what's up. Welcome to what I think for now is the last of our happiness series, and today we're discussing how to create the life you want. And of course, I don't have all the answers, so I had to call you my big guns. I want you to welcome my queens. To the bottom left, I have to look at the screen to see who's there. We have Mrs. Maua Allen. Maua is Tanzanian. Like all the women who appear on this podcast, she wears multiple hats, hence her background. She's a public health specialist who is currently serving as a biostatistician at the Pediatric Hospital Research Department. She's also an African print designer who uses her passion for African print to change the narrative about Africa. Her work is available on YouTube under Ma Afri Styles, and more about her blog, her Instagram, everything is on basiapowell.com. We also want to welcome back Dr. Sidel Ross, who's on the bottom right. Dr. Sidel Ross is Trinidadian American. She's an anesthesiologist and pain specialist who currently practices palliative medicine. She's also a classically trained vocalist, again, multiple hats, who uses music to care for patients living with life-threatening illnesses. Dr. Ross's podcast, Prescription in Sound, is dedicated to promoting awareness of the healing potential of music and is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We want to say welcome back again to American Mrs. Dawn Townsend, MS, LPC, NCC, and she's one of the leading licensed professional counselors in the state of Georgia and a national certified counselor. Dawn graduated with a 4.0 GPA from Mercer University, obtaining a Master of Science in Community Counseling, and graduated in the top 10 of her class, summa cum laude, from Spelman College, receiving a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Her knowledge is vast, having more than 15 years of clinical experience working with children, adolescents, and adults from diverse populations. She currently works as a COO and Vice President of Hopeful Change LLC. And she's a psychotherapist in the group practice and the clinical compliance specialist and behavioral assessment and mental health evaluation manager for a local mental health agency. When she's not hard at work, serving in the capacity of therapist, you will find her serving her family and our surrounding communities. And from all the way across the globe, joining us live at 3 a.m. in the morning, enough respect to this queen, is my girl, Sanjoni Sethi, joining us from India. Let me give you a brief intro on Sanjoni. She's a psychologist and mental health scholar. She has completed her master's program in clinical psychology with a master's of science in clinical psychology from Christ College, Bangalore. Correct? Did I pronounce it right? Bangalore. Okay. Bangalore. And bachelor's of psychology honors from Delhi University. Currently, she is an MPhil scholar studying clinical psychology. She has worked under a prestigious global banner of Amity. She was employed at Amity International School in Gurgaon as a school counselor. Sanjoni shows great interest in research in the area of mental health. She has worked with underprivileged children on topics of emotions and societal influence, and with the elderly population on depression. Her research work is published in eminent journals from USA, UGC approved publishers. She is the recipient of the Arjula, no, you all have me tying up my tongue, Lux, Arjula Award winner as the Best Revolutionist 2018 for her paper, Societal Influence on Emotional Competence. She's also deeply involved in writing for her mental health blog, The Madness for Real. Welcome. This is a tongue twister. You all have no idea how hard it is for me to read all these bios. And I feel as though I'm judged because I'm reading all types of words that are beyond my vocabulary in different languages. But I do it for you, and I do it for the women out there who need to understand the queens, the caliber of queens that we're bringing to this platform. Ladies, welcome to the Ask Basia video podcast. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I love about this podcast is the fact that it's all female and we come from different parts of the world with different backgrounds, but somehow we have the same issues. Today we're discussing how to create the life you want. Many people don't realize they can actually have the life they want. You are the architect of your dreams. People cannot stop you from living the life you want. You can allow people to stop you from living the life that you want. So Dawn Tangson, you're the pro at this, so I'm starting with you. Can you truly create the life you want?
Absolutely. I think it takes a few steps, though, that we have to first make way for, and we have to kind of understand before we create the life that we want. We have to first understand and recognize what is making us unhappy, right? So anytime we go or hear about a 12-step program, they always say that you first have to recognize and admit that you have a problem. So what we're talking about specifically is unhappiness. So we first have to recognize and admit that we are unhappy, and also identify what areas in our life are affected by the unhappiness. So is it at work? Is it in our relationships? Is it with friends? Identifying those areas to be specific will help us to make the changes that we need. And that leads into my second step. Mm-hmm. You have to commit to make changes on a day-to-day basis that are effective to help you make those changes in your life day to day, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're having those problems or you're feeling that you're unhappy because of family issues, is it because you haven't set appropriate boundaries? Is it because of work and it's because you feel like you need to be paid more money or your worth is more than what you're being paid? So do you need to ask for a raise? What does that look like in your life? Mm-hmm. And lastly, what I always say with any change in your life is that you have to be consistent in your pursuit, right? We always have to make sure that we're constantly pursuing the things that we're trying to change in our life. And that happens on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I feel you. I see a freshman on the panel, Sanjoni, shaking her head in agreement with you. So Sanjoni, what can you add to that? I mean, you both work in similar fields. You're from a different culture. I'm curious to hear your take on, can you really create the life that you want? Because somebody out there can be saying, yeah, you can say that because you have money, or you can say that because your life is perfect. So it's easy for you to say, but can each and every one of us create the life we want?
Yeah, so I would actually begin here by acknowledging the limitations all around us, especially talking about women. And when I talk about India, my cultural background here, the idea of an independent woman has come in much into practice very recently. The idea that women can balance a career for themselves and they can have a family life. Simple stereotypical ideas in India still exist that family begins when you have kids. So no one size fits all is something that I'm trying to advocate as part of a healthy mental well-being. So I still think one can create a life one wants. And for doing that, it is very important to understand the different contributions that, a life holds. So let your education, let your experiences, let your own journey empower you. And having said that, I want to add here, like said previously, identify what causes unhappiness. I would also like people to add to that and define happiness for themselves. Happiness can mean differently for different people. Children have very different pursuits of happiness, the joy of eating, the joy of playing.
Yeah.
And for an adult, it could be just the very fine basic necessity of survival. So it is very different for different people, and I think one has to really take note of that as well.
Yeah. Dr. Ross, how do you feel about one's ability to create the life that they want?
Well, I believe it is very possible, as other panelists have said, and I can certainly say that for myself, it has become a reality.
Yeah.
I speak from personal experience with that. Because for a long time I was unhappy, primarily in my professional life, after having achieved so much professionally and academically, and all the accolades and the certifications and titles and all of that. That did not satisfy a deep desire within me. There was something missing. There was a whole lot that was missing. And so I had to take the steps, some necessary, painful steps, but necessary steps to create the life that I wanted for myself. I had a vision in mind, and I figured out what I needed to do to achieve certain things step by step, small actionable steps, little by little. And I just stuck to the plan, and I have continued to stick to the plan. And so far, so good. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has been worth it. And I am excited about what the future holds.
And we applaud you for that. You go, Queen. I may not be exactly where you are, but I'm right behind you.
No,
Maua Elaine, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I want to say first, the ladies have put in like all the ideas that I had in mind in terms of the journey into achieving happiness. And the little that I can add into this is the community, right? So for me, part of what has helped me in this journey, because it's a journey still, and I always joke around that when I grow up, I'm going to be doing this, because for me, everything is still a journey.
Yeah.
So the other part is the community, really surrounding myself with like-minded people who have come to the realization that happiness needs to be pursued. It's a intentional living. So for me, when I was surrounded by this group of people, we were like, iron sharpening iron. So feeding into each other, okay, what's going on? How are you? And redefining all these happiness definitions, as some of the ladies have touched on. So I think in addition to what they have shared, surrounding myself with people who have the similar desire of this happiness and redefining happiness to be beyond just money. It's not that. It's really being surrounded by your family, people who care for you, care for your well-being. So there's so much to it. So I really enjoy what the ladies have shared.
Listen, we have just started, and you all have inspired me already. No, seriously, this is why I do this podcast, and this is why, if you all notice, listeners and viewers, if you think I'm getting a little smarter, in recent times, this is why, because I'm surrounded by a really smart woman. No, I mean, I'm listening to you, and I feel so happy. I believe, to take up on what you all said, I now believe that our version of happiness changes as we get older, So I guess it's linked to maturity in some way. Let me give it to you ladies straight. The type of SHIT I would tolerate at 25, I don't tolerate that at 40 enough. Okay? At 40 enough, I am not into SHIT. And as I edge, and I say edge, closer to the big fiber, my tolerance for people and situations that are contributing to my happiness is zero, child. Zero. Okay? The older I get, the less mess I want to tolerate. Would you ladies agree that age increases the desire to increase peace and joy? Because it's like the older you get, you want to accelerate the peace and joy you feel in your life 24/7. Dawn Thompson, I feel as though we do not address peace and joy enough with urgency. It leads, and because we don't do that, would you say that this can lead to midlife crisis? Is midlife crisis a real thing? And if so, what causes it? I'm starting with Dawn Thompson, and I'm going to Sanjoni Sethi.
Okay. That is a loaded question, but absolutely, I do believe midlife crisis happens for not just women. I believe it happens for men as well. And I think it is really connected to. Go ahead.
No. I said yeah, but
What were
I
you
know it
saying?
happens to. No, I say I know it happens to men, but I want you to discuss us. Like why it happens to us. Like, is it because
I just wanted to make it clear that it's not just us. Yes, ma'am. So, in saying that, I think the midlife crisis happens because some of us realize that, oh my gosh, we're 50 years old, or oh my gosh, we're hitting our mid 30s and we haven't done the things that we wanted to do in life, whether it's a career, whether it's part of having children and expanding your family. I think it is all related to the things that we find that bring us joy and happiness. So when you get to a place in life and you feel like you're not necessarily where you think you should be at that point in time, it creates stress. It creates feelings of being overwhelmed, feelings of unhappiness. So all of that kind of tumbles into other things in life that create stress in other areas that you wouldn't necessarily have it. But that in a summation is where the midlife crisis kind of starts.
So it's to put it into context in a way that I might understand it from a layman's perspective. It's like a prolonged period of ignoring your happiness, putting aside your dreams, and then you realize, hey, well, I'm gonna be 60 or I'm gonna be 50, and you go into like some sort of panic, right? You feel like you have to live a full 24 months worth of life that you could have lived in 40 years.
Absolutely. And to add to what you're saying, not just that, it could have been, you could have thought that you were pursuing something that you were thinking was going to make you happy, or pursuing something in life that you thought was going to fulfill you, and you realized it didn't. You realize you're left with the ball in the bag saying, hey, this isn't what I really thought was going to happen. Yes,
I'm laughing at
Dr.
Russ.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm laughing at Dr. Sadal's Rush expression, but I'm coming to you soon. Sanjoni, how do you feel about that in terms of, unhappiness leading into what we call, a lot of us would say in jest, yeah, man, he in midlife crisis, but you're dismissing somebody with a label of midlife crisis, not realizing that you can actually avoid it based on what Dawn Townsend has said. How do you feel about midlife crisis and what causes it?
Yeah, so I was coming to the labeling bit where, mental health overall is a lot of stigma in India till date. And labeling women or labeling children or labeling any different form of life is very common in India. And it kind of just, creates a minority in that situation. Now, having said that, coming to middle life crisis, I would, rather than calling it or terming it middle life crisis, to give that respect to each and every woman out there, I would just call it that they're in that stage of their life where they reflect and they evaluate their goals, which have changed previously. So I think what people miss out usually is the fact that when you're in a different position in your life, which I mean at different stages in your life, you evaluate your goals and your goals keep changing. And so once you move from your 20s to your 30s to your 30s to your 40s, you look back and you say, hey, I planned this, did I achieve it? Does that achievement make me happy anymore? Do I want to continue, or do I want to alter my goal based on the situation, based on the current new age, different life phase I am in? And I think all of that, along with other contributions, your physical body is changing, your mentality is changing, your social structures are changing. So based on the phase in your life that you're in, the developmental stage in your life you're in, your goals would change, and so would your happiness and means for it.
Okay. Dr. Russ, what do you have to say to this?
Yes. I have to say that this is me. This whole issue is all about me. Because I've lived this, right? So, and one of the things that I had to do is not just kind of define happiness for myself, but also define success for myself. Because I believe that happiness is a key ingredient to success.
You're reading minds. I mean, can you leave my next question alone? Like, what the hell?
I in the recipe of success, happiness is a key ingredient. And success for me became doing the things that make me happy, doing whatever I can to make myself happy throughout the course of my day, so that I can become the best version of myself. Period. Full stop. It's done. It's over. Very simple. It was no longer, but I'm not diminishing or discrediting what I have achieved so far academically and professionally and all of that, right? I'm proud of my accomplishments, but I am also learning to be proud of my simple accomplishments, like planting something in my garden, taking a nap. You know how huge that is to me? Like a nap during the course of the day, just to refresh and restore and invigorate. Like that's a huge deal for me. That's a big win when I get it. You know, and finding a new hobby. Those are the things. Those are big achievements, big accomplishments in my life these days, and not less no less important or significant than the larger achievements of my life, seemingly larger achievements of my life.
Mawali, let's hear what the African has to say about this.
Which one now? With the midlife crisis?
Anyone, check your shot.
Well, I think midlife crisis is real. Like we have so many examples of those things happening. And as the ladies who are speaking, I started wondering, did I hit? I know I'm not up there yet, but did I hit my midlife crisis? and I think I did. When I reflect on it, I can be vulnerable a little bit. I think I did, and it came about in a very funny way because as Sanjoni has said, you know, have you set goals? I had goals for like everything. You know, I knew when I wanted to have my kids by, I wanted to do it by this time. You know, the only one I didn't have was about being married. I didn't know when I wanted to be married, but it was incredible that at that point in time, I think it was sometime in 2018, I just felt like I wasn't being challenged. And so, and that was very strange because often throughout my life, whether it's academically or otherwise, I love the challenge because within that, you know, I get to create things. I get to have, you know, these ideas pumping and whatnot. So when that happened, I found myself going backwards and I was losing interest. And I was like, why am I doing this? I ended up stopping work and everything. I just focused on my daughter. At that time, my little one, I had a 1-year-old. And soon enough, after I did that, it totally reshaped. I tried a new venture. It failed, but still the idea of trying was just so motivating again. And then after that, I picked up on. And so I see what Dr. Ross was talking about, you know, being able to do something that you love and enjoy. It's so important. And I know it's a privilege, but at the same time, I think we forget to seek those things. You know, or we are tied up in other things to provide and to take care and do all these other things. So we forget to nurture that little part of ourselves that requires that. So
I feel you. I'm pretty sure if we would raise our children to focus on happiness, and this is why I said Dr. Ross up there reading minds as usual, you know, they would be more successful. I feel like if I knew then what I know now, I would have been a happier person a long time ago. Like I wasn't always happy. Now I thought I was because I feel as though you're growing up and as a child and what around you seems to be normal, and you grow up and you become more enlightened and more exposed, and then you realize what's abnormal about it. You know, when you're a child, whatever around you seems to be normal. If you're starving, you don't get dinner in the night, and you think that that's the world. That's how it is, you know, until you're enlightened. So I recognize for a few years now that one of the things that I missed out on or I might have missed was the importance of having fun, like as a part of promoting wellness. And I remember the way we were raised, I honestly felt that having fun was idle. Like it was a bad thing. Like especially when you're raised to achieve great things academically, fun was not a part of my pie charts. And I took for granted for a very long time the importance of having a hobby. And I actually thought a hobby was being able to go on vacation, and that's not a hobby. That is a luxury, like being able to go on a vacation, but it's not a hobby. And I always keep it real with you all. And for me now, as a parent and as a grown and sexy woman, and the sexy has nothing to do with physical, it's just a term I put to say I'm not old, okay? I now understand the importance of teaching my kids how to focus on happiness when making life choices, because I didn't understand that. So, Sanjoni, you have done extensive mental health research in India. What are some of the key things you can share with us about maintaining mental wellness and happiness as you're raising teenagers and children? How do we tie that into raising our children to make sure that they don't experience some of the roadblocks that we did because we were not exposed to all this information? Many years ago, we all felt like having fun was, who have time for fun? You need to study your book.
Right. So I think when I talk about India particularly, we have a lot of cultural influence when we talk about from our generation to generation. It's like, we call it a ripple effect. So if one generation is not happy, they seek that burden on their shoulders. And when they become parents, they transfer it automatically to their children.
That's
So
interesting.
now, these days, we see a lot of kids with, just naturally born with that sort of anxiety already present in them. They want to be perfectionists, they want to achieve goals, they want to please people, they want all of it. And in all of that, they kind of forget, like you said, what is happiness for us? And in India, I don't know about other countries, so I wouldn't be a good speaker on that. But in India, particularly, when I was growing up, um, we were told to invest in education, we were told to invest in activities, but nobody ever told us invest in your self-care, invest in your mental well-being. The idea of mental well-being was never there. So now that, I would want to definitely tell parents, parenting plays a very big role, in your early years, and you see the effect in your adulthood. So strengthen the coping mechanisms. Teach children better coping mechanisms. Don't tell a child, don't be angry. Tell a child, if you're angry, teach them how to express their anger. That is the difference that we need now to kind of work on our mental health that will eventually lead to happiness. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
So, Dawn Townsend, do you believe that happiness is a core part of, success? Like we were always fun, this, that. The pie chart is more structure for academics and perhaps if you have a child that you see may excel at a particular sport, you may lean towards it, not as a hobby, not for fun, but for a greater purpose. In your mind, it's a greater purpose. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely think it is one and the same. It goes together. And just like Miss Sanjoni just said, I think a lot of times with our children, we don't invest enough in our children emotionally to understand where they're coming from. And I think just really taking the time to really understand what our children are trying to communicate, because all of the emotions that children have, we have them as adults, and they're normal feelings, they're normal emotions. We all get angry. We all get frustrated. We all get stressed. We all get sad. So I think part of the process is normalizing those emotions and those feelings and enhancing those coping skills that was already discussed. So that way our children are better and are better and more effective at being able to cope with the stress of life, because we all have stress in our day-to-day life. It comes at us from every direction, some that we can control and some that we can't control. But we also know that a certain amount of stress is necessary for us to function at an optimal level for ourselves and for our mental wellness. So I think it's important. And I'm a firm believer that, we work hard, but we also play hard. It's important to balance your life out. And life is really all about balance. And that's where I think the root of happiness is having that balance in your life.
So I want to pivot, but still stay on the same topic with regards to working hard and playing hard, because one of the things that made me want to do the series as well is or this particular topic, I should say, in terms of, okay, we're telling people, we're defining happiness for them, but we're not talking about the how. How do you achieve this, etc. And as I admitted earlier, I grew up thinking, and I can't blame an individual for this. I can't blame a parent or a relative for this. Like, it was just the society around me. It was my friend's house and other people's house. Like, fun was a bad word. You're idling. Like, nobody would ever say to you, go have some fun. They would be like, go pick up a book. Go
Absolutely.
find something to do. Or go find something to do. It was never about, they didn't make it feel right. And Sanjoni said something that Dr. Russ immediately connected to, because I saw her eyes when she, when you talk about how the parents handed down their ways, and so technically we were raised to have anxiety. It was handed to us, and we took the baton and we ran with it, and we can't really blame our parents. We need to blame their parents and the parents before that. Because one of the triggers I had, and I said, hey, we need to do this topic, is because I realized that no one spoke to us about doing what we love. But there are very few people who got that advice. We were told we were pushed towards a certain direction for certain careers because of a profile, not because of purpose. Right. And this may have been something our parents might have wanted us to do, or we felt influenced by our environment to do. And sometimes, in some cases, it's cultural. But what I stumbled upon, not that I didn't know, but it didn't connect. I mean, a couple of Fridays ago, as you know, I've started my new hobby, which is golf. But I had to collect something on the golf course a couple of Fridays ago. And not in course, at the club. And when I drove up there, I was just surprised to see how many people were playing golf on a Friday morning. Mm-hmm. Now, where I come from, they will call that idle, right? They're wasting time. They have nothing to do. Those are the words I would hear, right? But you know what's funny? I realize that happier people are more productive people. Mm-hmm. And organizations need to realize that too. And, I believe that the happier you are, the more productive you are. I believe that the more productive you are, the more successful you become. The happier you are, the more successful you become. And until we realize that, even in raising our children, because if we realize that, then we need to hand these new habits to our kids. Let them, we make them feel that school is everything. We recently took the bold decision to homeschool our son so we can focus, the last one, so we can focus on more lifestyle things. That he can, because you learn a lot by traveling. You learn a lot by experiences. And I realized that it was a radical decision, but my husband and I, we're not out here to please the world. We, when we open the fridge, we didn't see anybody else but what we buy to put in there. So we're like doing what's up for us. Because we are in touch with ourselves, and we recognize what we may have missed. And we want to make sure that we don't make the same mistake, because we're not perfect either. So I believe that happiness is, in fact, an important ingredient for success. And my advice to our listeners and our viewers is really take some time to think about, one, if you're happy, and two, if you're not, how to get there. Are you making time for fun? And that's my question. Are you ladies making time for fun? Because I am ready.
Call me.
Clearly, I am.
Yeah. No. Call me. And some people will say, well, let's go to eat. Like, no. Everybody needs to eat. That is not having fun. Mau alluded to it earlier in this broadcast when she talked about community stuff. I have been able to get a better appreciation for community activities as well as a result of trying to do more and to have fun. Fun is good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So in last week's podcast, the ladies and I discussed, does money make you happy? And whilst we're not discussing that today, we need to discuss it. Because I thought it was very interesting. And Maua, we don't need your perspective on it because you were very.
Oh yes, I was vocal the last time we talked.
Oh yeah.
I think she wants you ladies to go right ahead and share your version.
Yes.
Money make you happy. I want to hear it.
Remember you it's the AT&T failed me again, right, guys? We're gonna talk to them. You were like, ring the cows. All right. Sanjoni, since you're the freshman, does money make you happy?
So the answer directly to tell you is no.
Okay.
I'm a person, for me, happiness is a very inner emotion. And what I see, money is part of the success, which is result oriented, which is the outcome for me. So I'm merely a very journey oriented person. I love the process of evolving. And money is not part of that. Money is just a little part of my outcome. And in my pie chart, the contribution or the percentage money would hold is about 10% maybe. Okay. But there are so many different things. Like you said, the part of having fun. For me, spending time in a day, which is my time with my dogs, talking to them, boring them to death, just cuddling them, just I need love, is my fun.
Is your fun. At least you're having fun. Dawn Thompson, does money make you happy? And we didn't also you can also address the choosing a partner who can be a significant contributor to the bank. Okay, very important. Yes, Dawn Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all relative. To be specific, does money make me happy? No, but money is a means to an end, right? It is what sustains us in our lifestyle. It's what maintains our ability to continue to do the things that we want to do. I've always been a person that has made a little go a long way. Because we didn't necessarily have a lot of things as a child, right? So you learn to make it work for you. But as you mature and as you grow and as an entrepreneur, as you're trying to do more things, you need money to sustain your business. You need money to make those things happen. So yes, it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. And I do believe in two people bringing something to the table. It doesn't have to equate to the same, but it has to be something that is actually being brought to the table. And, I could go on and on about that, but I think we all understand what that really means.
We understand.
And just making sure, just making sure you're part of the process and helping us to succeed and not being a hindrance.
Correct. I asked my husband this question as well because I'm very vocal about these things, and I wanted to make sure that me and my man were on the same page. And he's like, "Listen, money don't make me happy, but it maintains my happy life." Okay,
that's right.
He always has the punchlines to give me. He said it maintains my happy life, so you stay there. So, Dr. Russ, let's talk to us about the money. The man with the money, everything. I want it all.
Yeah.
Power. Bring the cows, milk the cows.
Listen, I sacrificed a whole lot of money for my happiness.
Yeah.
A whole lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
But it was certainly reassuring to have a life partner who could provide the monetary cushion, that kind of resource, among other types of resources, of course, the emotional and the spiritual and the other types of support that I need. But certainly to have him there available and committed to taking care of us financially was helpful.
Yeah.
I have to be completely honest. Could I have done it without him? Yes, it would look differently. It would take on a very different appearance. Say the way that I would go about doing things would be different.
Yeah.
But I would say that it is the money didn't make me happy. The money, certainly as everybody else has said, is a means to an end. Money can give us the experiences
Yeah.
that contribute to our happiness. And I try to impress that upon my children now, because even at the tender ages of 7 and 4, because I didn't have anybody to explain this to me. I mean, I always thought that, money was really what you needed to get you whatever you needed in life. And money was the root of it all. And once you had that and a lot of that, you're set for life. So I had to learn some things the hard way. But certainly I'm not going to say that I don't need the money.
It helps you maintain a happy life.
That is not going to be true. And we all know that song, No Romance Without Finance. Okay. I'm not a gold digger. No. I'm not a gold digger. I know what I represent. I know my worth. I know what I contribute to the table. But certainly having the money, whether it's my own, whether it, my husband, it's all ours.
It's community.
It belongs to us all.
Yes, to the community.
And it helps to maintain and promote our happiness. My happiness, his happiness, because when we're all happy, everything works well.
And I mean, just to add, because I know this is how you think as well. I mean, it helps us to even contribute to the larger community for those who don't have. So if we didn't have extras, how are we going to tithe? And how are we going to help St. Jude? And how are we going to help the church and so on?
The pantries and the food pantries
and all that, So, because you're very involved in your community. So if you didn't have the extras, then you won't be able to do it.
Correct.
So yeah. So, and on a final note, and I asked my husband what he think about choosing a partner who has the means, and he's like, you can't make love in a hungry belly.
He's correct.
Right. So we
as
much as we want to be idealistic, we need to be factual. We got to go in the grocery, ladies. So I know that we went through some major steps, and I think this will help our viewers in terms of how to create happiness. And of course, this is not the last time we're doing this session. Happiness evolves, and we'll have more to do. But I wanted to do an open mic as usual, our wild card segments. And what do you ladies want to sound off on this week? Dawn Thompson, I'm starting with you. What are you sounding off on?
Yeah, I wanted to sound off on the collapse of the residential building that happened in Miami-Dade County in Florida. I believe there were 10 deaths accounted for. I believe there were still 151 people that are still unaccounted for.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's a very sad situation, and it's a lot of things that we're still dealing with as people in our communities, and dealing with loss, and dealing with the tragedies that we're seeing in the world across the globe. But it goes to the point that, yesterday is gone, tomorrow is not promised, and today is called the gift, the present, because it's a gift. So I think it's important that we live in the present moment as much as we're able to, because that's what the Lord has blessed us with. And that's why it is called the gift. It's a present.
It's a present. Well said. What about you, Maua Aline? What do you want to sound off on?
Well, I wanted to echo what Dawn has shared. And the reason why I want to echo what she has shared is, Basia, as a family, we are transitioning to Florida, more so Tampa area. And as a mother, I'm looking all kind of places. I need a apartments, I need, a house or whatever. And then when I saw that, my heart sank because I hear and it's really hard to process it because I'm like, okay, it's just by chance that I'm here and not there. And what if that had happened to my family while we're in Tampa? So my heart goes out.
God forbid. Yes. God forbid. Yeah.
My heart goes out, and
it's a very sad situation.
It's really sad. And so my prayers are with the families and just hoping that they will find, life more so than the tragedy that we're finding now. So,
and if there's any consolation, I mean, our hearts and prayers go out to the family. But I hope that whoever, the people involved in this tragedy, that they would have lived a happy life. We can't change what's done, So, Sanjoni, what do you want to sound off on today?
So, keeping keeping in mind the COVID times, a lot of mental health issues have come up in India. At the due course of the pandemic. And I just kind of wanted to bring to light, since in India, a lot of people are not aware about mental health and the qualifications of mental health professionals. So the idea that every second person has started talking about mental health is great.
That's great.
But the fact that they might not hold a degree or relevant clinical experience in dealing with those sort of issues. And these are very sensitive issues about human life. So I was just trying to bring that awareness into people that, clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, psychiatric social workers, they all undergo intensive training programs and at least 6 to 8 years of education. So I want people to start respecting that and not making a mockery of mental health in India.
Well said. And we hope that they're listening. I hope our Indian listeners are taking notes. What about you, Dr. Ross? What are you sounding off on today?
Well, on a lighter note,
thank you for that.
I am getting ready for my getaway trip, short trip. But again, these are the things that make me happy, that contribute to my happiness.
Don't apologize. Keep it going. No, you shouldn't.
Getting ready to soak up some sun, lie on the beach. And so I have my sunscreen and, my protective garb with me, packed, ready to go. And it's really important because, in particular, people of color under this misconception that skin cancer does not affect them. I've heard it multiple times. Oh, that doesn't bother us. Really? That's not for us. So wrong. And the problem is when it is diagnosed in people of color, it is already advanced.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yes. So we really have to take care of ourselves, protect ourselves, protect our children especially. My daughter has moles. We're watching these moles every year. Children, we are all at risk.
Yeah.
And there are ways that we can do this. Of course, you get your SPF 50, SPF 50 recommended. Okay. Reapply multiple times throughout the day, especially if you're getting into water. Protect your skin in stylish and sexy ways. For example,
I'm all about that.
The visors. There's some really beautiful, stylish visors that are available. And for women like us with the natural hair and the puffs and the afro puffs and all of that, visors work really well. The wide brim hats as well. Some of them really exaggerated, but I love them. And protect your arms, wear your light, pretty shawls when you go out.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do this because we can look stylish, we can look,
Yeah, but we have to protect
together,
ourselves.
but we need to be safe at the same time.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, my sound off is cathartic. I have just found a new Bible that every woman needs to. I shouldn't make the parallel. Sorry, my apologies. But you know what I mean. I always talk about a female Bible that an invisible Bible that we read, even though we were from different backgrounds, but we still had the same issues. So I hope you take the analogy in fun and not, but I have just discovered the new book recently launched by Dr. Shefali, A Radical Awakening. And I think that every woman needs to get this book. I don't know, Dr. Shefali, I'm not getting any money for this. It's just facts. And really, I felt like she wrote that book for me, and I know it's not me alone going through this. And the whole, just you get to a particular point, when you can't do the things you used to do at 25, and you can't tolerate what you used to tolerate at 30. You're just grown and you're over it, and you need to be unapologetic about your happiness. You need to run towards your passion. You need to sever ties with the people that it's just not working, because they're holding you back from rising to your greatest potential. And it is just a masterpiece of what inside the brain of most women over 40 looks like. Okay, I think I got too passionate. All right, so ladies, on that note, I want you to tell the people where you're at, because for me, what I love about the Ask Basia video podcast is that we are a growing global platform for women. My queens pull up from every part of the world. Sanjoni, where you at? And tell that where you're at.
So I'm from Gurgaon, India. And like said earlier, it's 4:30.
It's 4:30 a.m. in the morning.
And now I have no signs of my sleep.
Oh my Lord. Thank you for doing this for us. Dawn Thompson, where you at?
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia. Mawalene, where you at?
I'm in Connecticut, moving. Next time you hear from me, probably I'll be in Tampa, somewhere, Florida.
Tampa, Florida. Coming all the way from Tanzania. You see?
All the way from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
The girl travels. And Dr. Sidal Russ, where you at?
Yes, so I am here in Bergen County, New Jersey, in the Garden State.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, just outside of the Big Apple.
Nice. NYC, baby.
That's right.
And I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in the A, like I like to call it. Every time the plane touches down here, I'm like, I'm in the A. No other place to be but Georgia. I want you to just go follow all these ladies on their social handles, their Instagram, their blogs, their websites. It's all in the article associated with this podcast. But go follow them. You've seen what's up. I mean, every Tuesday, I look forward to bringing this podcast to you all. And I have no idea if we have more men than women following us, because, these women are so beautiful. But I hope that each and every one of us can could touch somebody in some way so that their life will be better. I wish we could go on and on, but all good things must come to an end. This is the reason we created this podcast, to bring outstanding women together from around the world. It's a revolution. I want to leave you with this. There's a reason why God gave you your own brain, so you could conceive things. He followed up with 2 eyes, so you can keep looking forward. Mm-hmm. And if he wanted us to look backward, he would have put our eyes behind our head. He would have placed us in the back of our head so we could look backwards. Beyond that, he gave us 2 legs so we could walk. And he also gave us 2 hands so we can run towards life while carrying load, because we couldn't run if we didn't have our hands. So my point is, no matter what you're facing in life right now, once you have a brain, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 hands, you're in the game. So get up and run towards the life you want to create. Don't let nobody hold you back from creating the life you want. Only hang with the people who will lift you up and who understand the importance of having fun and truly living. Anybody trying to do otherwise, put them on ice. Everybody has the right to happiness. It's never too late to create the life you want. What people say about you is none of your business. And to quote my little son Russ, who has autism, you did a great job, guys. Great job. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's your girl, Basia. See you next time. Remember, happiness heals. I love you, queens. Bye.
Bye.